Welcome to CathyDSlaught's SRC4u Zoom call for December 10th, 2021. We're here on Cathy's website, CathyDSlaght.com, and we're going to scroll down. We're going to look for this Zoom graphic. Now, if you would like to be part of Cathy's SRC4u Daily Energy Clearing Group, all the information is right here, and you can click through. We're going to continue on to the Zoom platform. So once I click, it's going to take me over to the Zoom platform. Once I accept, the call will be live. So please monitor your speakers for the volume.
Can I say something here?
Oh, yes, please. We're just waiting here.
The other day, I saw this, and I was looking for it. I didn't want to say until I found it, but it's about making a decree. And if you're ultra fearful, or if you have hate in your heart, here's just a little thing to remember about decrees, is that number one, always start it with I am that, or I am that I am. Okay, so the first I am is your decree, I am, and the second I am is your acceptance. So if you're in fear, you could say, I am safe, I am. So your first one is your decree, and the second one is the acceptance. If you have hate in your heart, or dislike or whatever, you could say, I am love, I am love, I am. Or something, just keep it simple. You can make it complicated, but just make it simple. Start it with I am and end it with I am, because the last I am is the acceptance of what the decree is. That makes sense?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Great.
Is that from that website you sent me?
No. This is from Power, Passion, Freedom. And the lady's name is Lena. She's a very interesting lady, engineer, worked for the government for years and years and years, but she was even as a child, she was downloaded all of this information, and she had a connection to the divine. And and it took her a long time to kind of figure out all the crap that was going on with the government. But since then, since she left, she decided to leave. She's devoted herself to teaching people about basically seeing the light and how to live and things like that. She's very interesting. Her website has a lot of free. I don't know, actually. She's having some trouble with the website. They might be on Rumble. But anyway, you could go to her website and take a look. If not, go to Rumble and look just for Power, Passion, and Freedom.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, she's a pretty bright light.
Yes, sounds like it. Let's look and see where we are before we go into this other discussion. Let's just see where we are at this moment in time. And we did not ask for a charger scan. We're going to let the Wonder Click do its thing. Mass and defense mechanisms, when it comes up a second time, that we need to give that some attention or assistance. And look at our overall nutrition, vitamin balance is mentioned twice. And we are asking, I think, in our scan, I'll show you in a minute, I think we want to clear, I'm not sure, if it was organs or whole body.
Just real quickly, Lena's on Telegram.
Oh, thank you. Good. Okay. Just under Power, that name you gave us, or is it her name?
Power, Passion. Yeah, just under Power, Passion, Freedom.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get an idea This is all subtle. When it scans, we'll have a look at that line keeps coming up. That is extremely interesting. We'll probably have to look a little more at that. If I can move things. Be safely conscious. 80% of people are caused by accidents. Oh my goodness. Relief and some blockages. So let's just minimize that. Now, I don't know what I did this morning, but I don't seem to be able to make this little thing larger. Is there anything up here? Would the zoom do it, Kevin? Because I played around with that a little, but it's not doing anything. So let me just quickly tell you what we've got in our highlights. Invisible to agents of darkness. That's never a bad thing. Come on, yeah. And my computer just seems to not be, for example, this is not wanting to copy. Oh, there it went. Okay, now when I see a 98 or 99, I feel like giving it a little bit more oomph.
I think you've got your zoom set.
How do I?
You see the big bar at the top?
Yeah, this big bar.
Try the magnifying glass on zoom to see what that does.
I did that and nothing happened. Yeah. Oh, there it did now. All right. Let's go to 200%. There, okay. Yay, thank you. I knew you'd have an answer, Kevin. But when I did the zoom before, it didn't work with me. All right, so now we see current life traumas, including prenatal and birth traumas. Let's look in here and see. Okay, we're doing prayer warrior, issue solver, sustenance. Look at that, all the pro tools we want today. So I'm going to for sure put invisible to agents of darkness in the prayer warrior. But let's also, and we're still going here, we actually still have an issue solver from the other day, but let's go ahead and do another one. I'm just going to put clear all agents. Current life traumas. And again, there may not be a negative. A lot of times this is what transforms a person. Let's go ahead and we want to, I knew there was something in there. It's the whole body. It's clear. Yesterday we wanted to, as you recall, a 24-hour. I think we may still be going on that. Now this release psychological blocks, we went, I can't tell you how long last weekend on that. I had it in the timeline, and finally it got to the point where it was a low enough number that I quit. But let's just see where we are now at this moment in time. Okay, well, taking us up to 100. And then we haven't wanted this session startup in a long time, but we're wanting it today. Here's a nice charge to celebrate a miracle which has already been given. And then the last one, which, well, no, I don't know why that one, oh, I guess they're erasing themselves as, okay, so there is a little stress here. Earthbound spirits, stress. And then the SSTT, and what we actually wanted for that one is repair. Let's go ahead and find that one. Yeah. So then we were looking into why we see so much spiritual attack in our work. We're not going to see it with our naked eye, but with the scanning, with all these different devices that are out there, that kind of stress can show up. So one of the things, this used to be a lot more taboo than it is now. It used to be you just couldn't talk about this. It made you sound negative and creepy and paranoid and or insane. I think we're seeing more people recognize what's going on. So we see, even as a group, though, look at that, we have a little stress in reference to that. Are we willing to recognize that such a thing exists? And then let's just see what the impact of putting this in the shin would be. Not much. How about a charge? Oh, look at that. My goodness, 100%. So let's go ahead and the old example I give is you've got to see the truck coming, not going to be afraid of the truck or focus on it. You're just not going to step in front of it. Okay, so again, 2 minutes. This is interesting. Understand that there are good as well as evil forces. And again, a lot of your newer type spirituality, what they call New Age, tried to say, oh no, there can't be anything out there like that. But that does not seem to be the case.
I sure see a lot of it.
Yeah. We have to at least acknowledge, and it's spoken of in all the traditions, whether it be the Bible or other traditions. But see, again, look at the trouble we have with that, even as a group, resonating with that understanding that there's good and evil both out there. Nothing to fear. We just have to know so we can deal with it. Not invite it in. Susan, what are some good oils other than, I know, white angelica, that people can work with in reference to this? Can you think of anything?
Sacred Spirit, probably Sacred Mountain, I think it is.
Oh, thank you. Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't know about that one. I know the white angelica, just a little on your shoulders is powerful. Now here is control of thought life, which the more I'm learning, the more I'm agreeing with the idea that there is really no original thought. You might have some of these thoughts come in from some lower vibratory forces. So put that code in. And then I just felt like putting this in, supernatural strength. Well, let's just see. There was a code for it.
And you know, if you have rose is good for absolutely everything.
Oh, that is yeah, thank you. You're right.
And sage.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yes. And you know, another one I've read about is pine.
Yep. There's a lot of them.
Wonderful. Now look at the potential. We go all the way up to the 102 for the supernatural strength, but we haven't perhaps given that much thought, how we are created. Now, here's a few of the things they say that can open us up to any kind of spiritual attack. Ignorance, not realizing there could be such a thing. Apathy, where you just don't care. Being pretty much just caught up in the 0.1%, which is what we can see and accumulate. We see that there's some dark energy that may have infiltrated those we trust. We might have some so-called gurus we look up to that are giving us misdirecting information. And then, of course, our popular culture, if you really look at what we're seeing on TV and in our music, etc., you start wondering, you may start questioning. But here's this, I found this interesting too. This is some of the things that may open us up, and I think it'll be interesting just to check real quickly. If you have a lot of anger, depression, fear, feelings of inferiority, let me move this over. Feelings of rejection, hatred, jealousy, resentment, self-pity, worry, this can open you up. Well, let's just see where we are. Emotional problems be a negative thing. That's rather significant. So is it possible that what's happening, that we're seeing so much more of this, is because emotions are pretty high about certain things going on in the world? Then you've got what they call mental problems. And that would be procrastination, indecision, confusion, delusions, doubt, rationalization, even memory loss. Let's look at that and just see where we are as a group. That's not as high as the emotional. And this is where you can't control your speech. Uncontrolled outbursts, lying, profanity, blasphemy, criticism, mockery, and then gossip. Gossip is actually one of the big ones. And what they say is that you actually distort your aura, especially I know I've read with lying. When you lie, it actually distorts your aura. But since I can't see that personally, I can't swear to it. Okay, we don't have much of that in the group. Look at that. Sex problems. This is an interesting thought. In a lot of the societies that have gone downhill, before that, you had a lot of this type of thing: incest, adultery, lewd behavior. So it does seem that it does something to the energy field. You know, we're wanting if our field is doing its work, we would not be susceptible, I believe, to such attack as we're seeing.
Yeah, think of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yep. Well, I was reading just the other day about what was going on in Berlin before Hitler came into power. Are any of you aware of that? Because I had not been.
Oh.
It was pretty staggering. The pedophilia was open. They sold children on the street. Remember, we didn't have our internet back then, and we didn't have all these wonderful cell phones, et cetera, et cetera. And the truth is, we don't really know these things. But yeah, it was vile. Now, here's another thing that can invite in spiritual attack: addictions. And that includes, you know, we think of maybe the drinking and drugs, but it includes sugar, maybe the internet, et cetera, and then finally, it can be physical infirmities. Sometimes, you know, when your voltage is low and you're just so weak, you may be under more spiritual attack. That might be why when you have someone you're working with that is in rough shape physically, you see so much of that, because they just are a little bit weak. And so we're going to put that in there. But then the other thing, and that's interesting, you can't attribute everything to spiritual attack. A lot of us, or a lot of people want to say, oh, it's all. No, that's not true. Not true. But you could. And I did this yesterday with individuals. And I did have one person who this number came up very high. Intentional spiritual warfare is being waged against me. We can do it for the group, but I think this is really something you would do in individual situations. And every now and then you may see that it actually is. Let's just see. Well, and this is something someone yesterday mentioned, that there may be some spiritual warfare against people who are trying to work to better the world. You can test yourself for some of this too.
I totally believe that.
Yeah, it is very interesting out there. We know that there is radionics equipment from the old days, not the modern, but the old days. There was no control over what you could send. If you wanted to send negative energy, you could do it. Now the newer ones you can't. But okay, so we're not as susceptible. That's a lower number. Spiritual bondage. You can use some of these if you want to add to the Gong list. This one up here I would do separately for people. This is the Gong list. We don't need it twice. Ignore the spiritual realm. And again, you wouldn't think this group would come up high on that. Let's just see. Well, looks like we could maybe do a little bit more study or prayer. low priority. Oops, did that wrong. It actually comes up for some people as a good thing, which might lead us to this next one we've got here. Now you can go off, as we all know, the deep end and start attributing to Satan everything that goes wrong. and that's the one thing you don't want to do, at least the best way I would put it, and I think you all agree with this. You have to have the awareness, but you're not going to focus on it. You're not going to think about it and talk about it. Just need an awareness. I did that a good thing again. And they're into a
I think
negative.
that's where what you think about, you bring about.
Correct. Totally agree. So look at that. That's a little bit. Let's be aware of that. I think that's all. Oh, no, there's a few more. Excessive thinking, study, and talking about Satan. Even in the book Remarkable Healings, she recommends against people going in this direction.
So yesterday you came up with the anoint happiness and dump grief. But
Yes.
I couldn't find that in the data.
Okay, I'll have to check with Kevin and see. I thought he had it, but I couldn't find it either until I looked at the whole thing. So let's look again today and see where that is.
Thank you.
Because you may have it. If not, we'll make sure it gets out there. Because that was a fairly powerful little thought. You could see how that kind of took care of everything else. Now, this is an interesting one. Belief in immunity from spiritual attack. There are certain religions that believe they're immune. There may be some that think if they do this kind of work, they're immune. And you see that is perhaps not a belief that's going to serve real well. And then again, same thing, false sense of security. This is terrible to say, but do you remember that song many years ago about the guy driving in his car, and it was like, I can rush, I don't have to tarry as long as I have magnetic Mary. So he had Mary on his dashboard, so that kind of thing. And let's look at this. And again, look at that, a little bit of stress there. So one of the things, and we actually didn't ask for the field generator today, but let's go in here. I'll add a few more things to the issue solver as we go. Sustenance balancer. Sorry. One of the things you could do, we had that first cocktail Our first selection, invisible. Let's just enhance. And you might, if this kind of thing comes up, it's what I'm going to do today, go down the whole list, all that food, all that water, because we do have some negative information in our food and water. And it probably isn't a bad idea since it was the top thing on our list. Look at the acupuncture panel and see. There it is. Now, where is that, Kevin? Can you tell?
Isn't it the first one right up there?
It was up. I saw it where it is, but I can't tell what folder it is. But if you go to your SRC data, just like we just did in there, you should be able to find it and then just save it in your field generator.
If you right click on it, you can say open in location.
Okay, thank you. Don't do it again. All right. Let's go ahead and well, in the field generator now, maybe I misspelled it. And here's what's caught up with it. $20. Let's go in. All right, let's look at the recharger. And do that again. Okay, so right click it.
You see where it says open file location? You see where it says open file location?
Yeah. So it's in the P4, it looks like.
Acupuncture cocktails.
Well, okay, all right. So there, you should be able to find it in there, Steve. If not, we'll make sure you get it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really didn't want to have the recharger today, but since we're in here anyway. Let's do nervous system. But we have all these wonderful protocols. I'll make a list and send it out as to everything we have in the way of cocktails, etc. But it may be that if we don't work on these things right here, it doesn't matter what we do. We're still putting a portal, opening a portal in our own energy field to let it in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Any suggestions for how we address this with the yes therapy? Do we want to uninstall? Let's try it. Uninstall. Let's just do non-beneficial thought patterns. See what happens. I'll work on these things later. Looks like we have some good things going here. And looks like we want to start with manual. "24 hours just on manual." So that'll take us into tomorrow. One last thought too that's just coming in. We do have some good protocols in here in reference to spiritual attack, but you can always just check Psalm 91 cocktail, which can be extremely powerful.
Great idea. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a wonderful cocktail. And then I added another one the other night, and this is a little bit more specific. Psalm 91. And when you add a cocktail that doesn't like all these little numbers, colon marks, etc. So I'll show you in a minute. But that's a little bit more specific. That's not as high, though. It wants the whole psalm. So we could just go ahead and stop. Load. Come on, get up there. Go back in. And I am still going to do the 24 hours. And there's some other excellent ones in there too. Armor of God, etc., etc. Well, there we go. So thanks a lot, you guys. I guess we're going to have our weekend now.
All righty. Thanks, Cathy.
Thank you.
Take care.
Great,
Bye.
great week. Wonderful week. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Have a good, safe weekend, everybody.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, you too.
This concludes the SRC4u Zoom call for December 10th, 2021. Thank you for attending. We look forward to seeing you again. Till then, take care and be well.